yesterday, there it goes. Yesterday, we were taking a look at types of reactions. Was there anybody else that wanted the paper version of this? Did not pick it up. Everything's in Canvas.
Yeah.
Anybody else paper? You got it? No, good. Anybody else wants paper version? You got it? Yeah, go open your video on paper version. Do not pick it up for whatever reason. Otherwise, they're online. All right. Yesterday we did the types of reactions, which I've had quite a few of you turn them in. I haven't checked it online or graded them yet because grade books were just unlocked not that long ago. Bad paper. But seems like a lot of you picked up on the major types of reactions pretty easy. If there were no pluses on the right side and it was just one product that was the addition, and if there were no pluses on the left, there's just one thing on the left of the arrow, then it was a decomposition. If you had a single element and a compound on both sides, pluses in between them, it was a single replacement. Two different compounds, both sides, pluses in between, it was a double replacement. And then if you had a fuel with oxygen making either carbon dioxide or carbon dioxide and water, then that was a combustion. What we're going to do today, you're going to need a periodic table and a compound chart. What we're going to do today is I'm going to teach you how to make what are called skeleton equations. On Tuesday, when we started back up, I'll let you guys know that if you do not know how to make formulas, here, we'll break that up for. If you do not know how to make equations or formulas from words, you will fail this class, which is why we went back over it on Tuesday. And we're going to keep doing this. Going from a word to a formula will not stop in this class the rest of the year. I know we went over this opener before. What's a skeleton in general?
I
haven't put anything into the grade book yet. How for Monday when there was no school?
Yesterday.
Because I haven't graded them yet? Because I haven't put anything into the grade book yet. I haven't even put stuff into parent portal. You have to let me grade it first. No, just in general, what is a skeleton?
Body bones.
Bones. Okay, bare bones. In chemistry, what's a skeleton equation? We'll pull this up. How? Multiple elements showing what? That's not. Oh, that's Sebastian. You're sure you didn't create those on purpose, huh?
Yeah.
She was right on the other side of my laptop. All right, so in chemistry, I heard part of it. In chemistry, what's the skeleton equation? What does it show? What does it do? Yes, you're going to have elements and numbers and stuff, but what does it do? How?
Like combining all these.
Tiffany pulls up. Where? Okay, so let me ask this more of a leading question. Where do reactants go in a skeleton equation? First, to the left of the arrow, and where do products go then? To the right, after it. You got a lot of catching up if you haven't had the first semester in a while. All right, so the skeleton equation in chemistry is the bare bones for the reaction. It's not balanced. So today we are doing skeletons. Tomorrow we have that for the showing where the reactants and the products go. That is correct. Now, when we started doing the types of reactions, sometimes when elements were by themselves, it got a 2. And sometimes they didn't get a subscript at all. Can you think of an element that you were seeing yesterday when it was by itself? It would always get a 2. There's 7 of them. Huh? Not iron. Oxygen is one of them. Oxygen by itself is O2. Yes. Not the right one. Can you think of another one that always got 2 when it was by itself? Yes, oxygen is one of them. Hydrogen is one of them.
Hydrogen.
We just said hydrogen.
Oxygen.
Oxygen. Now you're just reading them off the paper. Okay, what is this? There are 7 of them. These are actually listed in reverse order than I normally say them, but I was just yanking it off of Miss Youngman's notes. So if I show you on this periodic table, it's iodine, bromine, chlorine, fluorine, oxygen, nitrogen, hydrogen. Do y'all see the number 7? Look at the ones I circled. Iodine, bromine, chlorine, fluorine, oxygen, nitrogen, and 4 hydrogen is by itself. They literally make a 7 on the periodic table. It's just poor hydrogen just gets left alone over in its own little corner. You need to know these 7 diatomic elements, because if you make a skeleton and you tell me hydrogen gas is just H and not H2, everything will be wrong. A skeleton equation is putting the reactant or reactants on the left of the arrow. The arrow is the reaction itself, and then puts the product or products on the right, but it's not balanced. Skeleton equation, it is the bare bones of a chemical reaction. I just have to show you how to do it. And yes, you have to be able to make formulas from words. And you need to make sure that these, but not when they're in a compound, but when they are by themselves. Hydrogen gas reacts with oxygen gas to make water. It is not H plus O, it is H2 plus O2. Other than that, the other 117 elements on that periodic table, if it's an element, does not get a subscript. If it's a compound, then you either have to use prefixes or you have to crisscross charges. The heater actually did kick on, so it's about to get really hot in here. But somebody said it's freezing. I turned the heater on. It kicked on. It's about to get blistering hot in here. So, how do we do hydrogen by itself?
H2.
H2. Is chlorine one of the 7 special ones?
Yes.
Yes. So how would I do hydrogen chloride? Hold on. Don't tell me. Hydrogen. Hydrogen's in group 1, so what is its charge normally? Plus how much? 1. Fluoride is chlorine, which is Cl. It's in group 7, so what is its charge normally? -1. Now let me help you and refresh you what I gave you. The second semester is not the semester we made up. Things in group 1, that's why that's +1. Things in group 7, they're -1. They say everybody in here is +1, everybody in here is +2, this would be +3, +1 is 4, -2, -2, -0. These are different. All right, so what's the formula for hydrogen chloride then? Just HCl. So the skeleton equation for this would look like this. You bring down the pluses and you bring down the arrow, put them where they belong. H2 plus Cl2 produces, makes, yields, creates. You can use different words for that. HCl. What type of reaction is this? Is it single replacement, double replacement, combustion?
Addition.
Which one? Addition. Now, like I said, it's not balanced. That's something that we should be doing Monday. The one thing that we noticed as a chemistry team that we sort of assumed that you would pick up by yourself was counting atoms. Just to make sure you understand, how many hydrogens is on the left-hand side?
2.
How many is on the right-hand side? Do they equal each other? No, so that's why it's not balanced. There's 2 chlorines here, but there's only 1 here. In order to balance equations, and yes, I am leapfrogging into Monday, we put numbers in the front to multiply everything behind it. So what it really only needs a number in front of it? The hydrogen, the chlorine, or the hydrogen chloride? Which one doesn't have enough? The ones on the left or the ones on the right? On the right. So if I put a 2 here, I know for those of you that are remote can't see me pointing at the board. If I put a 2 here, it means I have 2 of everything behind it. And this equation, if it was balanced, would be 1, 1, 2, because I personally do write ones as coefficients. Some teachers do and some do not. I was taught to do it that way. Now, you're not balancing these on today's paper. You're creating, let me double check and make sure. You are creating it from words. And yes, I know that once, because this is not a long section of notes. I'm going to have, okay, I need a refresher. How do I do this? Iron 3 oxide makes iron and oxygen. What's iron symbol? Fe. What does Roman numeral I mean? Positive how much? Positive 3. Oxide is oxygen. What is its charge always? Negative 2. Is iron one of the 7 special elements? No. So it's just Fe. Is oxygen one of the 7 elements? Yes. So it is O2. Now bring everything down. This does not add to 0. So what is the formula for iron 3 oxide? Crisscross them. Fe2O3. So since I'm not picking on you, you haven't had this in a long time. And I know what the problems are. When those charges don't add to 0, and I know the iron was plus 3 because I is 3 in Roman. These do not add up to 0. You switch numbers, which is how and then you just ignore the charges. That's how I did it. What type of reaction is this? It is a decomposition. The iron, the rust, the iron 3 oxide is breaking down into its 2 elements, which are iron and oxygen gas. This is also not balanced. I said, I'm not asking you to balance these today. And in fact, on the lab tomorrow, I took that section out of the virtual lab. You guys will be going, the virtual part of the lab gives you the word equation if you pay attention and pause it and write it down. But you're going to have to be able to create the skeleton and tell me the reaction type. And before I go on to the next one, was there a question why this got a 2 and this didn't? Or the fact that that was positive 3, or where I got the negative 2 from? Because you have to be able to do these. Barium. Barium is Ba. It is in group 2. So what is its charge? Plus 2. Chlorine is in group 7. What is its charge? Negative 1. For those of you that understand, because we use the same elements over and over and over, I'm not asking you to memorize the periodic table, but what's the symbol for sodium? It's not S. Na, if it's in group 1, it's plus 1. Phosphate's a polyatomic ion. I made more copies of this. We need another set of the polyatomic ion chart. It is in Canvas. It is PO4, but you got to do the chart. Who else wanted another copy of this? Oh, that's what I told you I was going to make more copies. And then the printer ran out of paper. That was not my fault. Who else wants a fresh set of the polyatomics? No. Phosphate. So which phosphate is PO4? What are the phosphorus one charge? Negative 3. Now I've already done all the hard work. Okay, so sodium, chloride, barium, phosphate. You'll have to look them up more than once if you've already written them down. They just rearranged into a different, to a different combination on the other side. How do we write the formula for barium chloride? Ba. But we don't write ones. We don't write ones. BaCl2. Yes, this is an L, not an I. I know with the Google slides, capital I and lowercase l looks the same. What would this one look like? Na3PO4. It does not need parentheses because there's only one phosphate. What about sodium chloride? How do we write salt? NaCl. And how would we write barium phosphate? Ba3, then what? PO4 in parentheses, and then the 2 goes outside. What type of reaction is that? That is a double. Whether you call it double replacement, double displacement, or just say double, I'm not stupid. I know if you say double or single, that it's one or the other. Then add the other one. Aluminum. What is the symbol for aluminum? Al, and its charge is always what? Positive 3. Iodide comes from iodine, or iodine. It's I -1, it's a group 7. Is fluorine one of the special 7 elements? No. Yes, it is. It makes a 7, and starting from the bottom of the 7, it is iodine, bromine, fluorine, chlorine, oxygen, nitrogen, and then way over here is hydrogen. Yeah, I've done my hard work, except fluorine is in group 7 also, so it carries a -1. Iodine, or iodine, tomato with chemistry, is one of those 7 elements. Now you just have to crisscross charges. These are all ionic, aren't they? They didn't put any covalence on here. Did they? No. Okay. Crisscross, that is capital A, lowercase l, capital I3. We have crisscross. Don't have to do anything to fluorine. You're going to crisscross the 3 down to the fluorine for aluminum fluoride. Then we have iodine. Now, this is single. The difference between an element and a compound, an element has, it's just one letter, well, it could be 2 in the case of chlorine, like Cl, but it's just that one element. A compound has 2 different elements in it, which is why this is an element and this is a compound, compound that is a single replacement reaction. Okay, let's see. We've only got one more. So before I move on to the next one, are there any questions on this one? Okay, this looks like this has a typo on my page. It does not. It's just the way it printed out. Okay. This is the bottom part, this enclosure. We're going to predict products and pretend that all of these are going to mix around the way that they're supposed to, so we don't have to look at that chart. Aluminum is a metal, iron is a metal, and chlorine is a nonmetal. This is going to be a single replacement reaction. So what do you think is going to be by itself on the right-hand side? No, aluminum was by itself on the left-hand side. A metal's going to replace a metal. Iron is by itself. And then guess what the aluminum is going to make a compound with? Chlorine. The aluminum's +3, the chlorine's -1. So what would I don't have to do anything to iron because it's not one of those 7 elements, it's just Fe. But what would aluminum fluoride look like? No, AlCl3. And we're going to have 20 minutes if you guys had questions about the stuff that we did Tuesday, which I'm not going to take after tomorrow, or possibly the one from yesterday. But it seems like most of you understood yesterday's after you asked a couple questions. What I think most of you are going to have problems with is still figuring out this and going the next step. If the metals are going to switch places with each other, if calcium was with chlorine on the left, what is it going to be with on the right? The sulfate. And so what is sodium going to be with on the right-hand side if it was originally with sulfate? Chlorine. It doesn't really matter which order you put them in as long as the metal is first and the non-metal is second. I am not going to count off for that. But sodium is +1. Chlorine is -1. Calcium, it will be NaCl. I just know that that's not the next button I'm about to push. Calcium is positive 2. Sulfates, which I ran off more of these once again, sulfates, the SO4 has a negative 2 charge. Right, so we don't have to write extra subscripts on the right-hand side. Now, you have to write that 4 in the sulfate. And I noticed people were doing that wrong before the break. Sulfate is like a sulfur that is superglued to 4 oxygens. That whole thing carries a negative 2 charge. But because the calcium was plus 2, it negated the sulfate's negative 2. Remember, the whole point of making a compound is to be neutral, which is a 0. So this is what type of reaction? Single replacement. This is what type? This is a double. This is how short the notes are today. You know, I made sure today's was short for a reason. Let me turn the light on, pause that, and double check online attendance. Give me just a second.
So the summer from your side, is it on March 2?
Yeah, everything's always in both places, but hold on. I need to check my online attendance. Because they weren't all logged in. Hold on. Alexis and Declan. Alexis. Slate and Veronica. Okay, in here. Jared, Braden. Okay, I don't see Caitlin. Give me just a second. Let me grab everybody online. Alexis, Jimmy, Sebastian, Delvin, Matthew. Bailey, Veronica. Oh, I don't see Veronica or Valerie. No, Veronica's online. I apologize. I do not see Valerie. Luke is here, Robert's here, Mia, Reagan, Aiden, no. Jeremiah and Logan. Okay, so now that I've done my housekeeping, was there anybody else that needed another polyatomic ion chart or a periodic table with the charges on it? Which one do you need?
Actually, no, I have one.
You got anything? Yes. Okay, are there questions with the one from Tuesday, which is due tomorrow? I'm not taking them after tomorrow. What about the one from yesterday? Or do you have one of them to turn in? I have not checked if you've turned them in online, and I've not graded anything that's been turned in because too many things are missing. What's next? Are you turning this one in or you finish this one? I said, I haven't graded anything. Somebody said it was showing up as missing. Graded them. Let's go for the next. And this one's going to? So what was your question? Was it on one of these?
No.
Okay. Is there anybody that wanted the paper copy of the assignment that did not get it already? Everything is in Canvas. Okay, who has questions? Am I getting this right or? Okay, hold on. Let me get the password.
Do you have to write with,
No, you don't have to. I mean, you can if you want to, and I can double check it and make sure that you've done it right. But that's not what it's asking you to do. It's 11:30. I think A hall is open. I think so. Yeah, they locked that one. I have no idea why. He said I need help. Let me stop the recording. And also, those of you that